This Kentucky Derby video is dedicated to my co-host, Lyrin Brewer Smith. She can't be here tonight because she is currently in foal with two little fillies. I'm Danny Brewer, your favorite turf rider from Tennessee. Let's take a minute or two and figure a way to answer one of the most important questions of life. Who's going to win the Kentucky Derby? For 150 years, people have been faced with this pony preponderance. What are some ways to gain some insight regarding the outcome of the world's most famous race? Many people have asked me, you bet on the one that lightens the load before they get in the starting gate. So what's the scoop regarding the poop? You know, I'm not sure about this theory. I talked to a good friend of mine named Nafzger. I actually did a story about this years ago. Carl has trained two Kentucky Derby winners, 1990 Unbridled, 2007 Street Sense. So I said, Carl, what's the deal here? He said, well, son, if you're going to bet on the ones that take a dump before they get in the gate, you bet on them all because they're all going to do it. They're nervous athletes. They all have that stomach churning. And when I think about that, Carl's right, because when you were playing Little League Baseball, didn't that stomach kind of churn a little bit? Or before your basketball game or your wrestling match or whatever, didn't you have that nervous stomach? They're the same way. So don't think they're any different. They're just four-legged athletes. Another popular thought is always bet the long shots. Shouldn't you always do that in this race? You know, the last two Kentucky Derby winners were Rich Strike at odds of 80 to 1 and Mage won last year at 15 to 1. The favorite hasn't won this race since 2018. You know, so what's the deal with this? Well, the best horse doesn't always win this race. It's the best horse on that day. Racing luck is always a big factor in a 20-horse field. I mean, you got so many horses, there's so many things that can happen around this mile-and-a-quarter race. So what do you do here? Well, 10 favorites have won this century, including a streak of 6 in a row from 2013 to 2018. The longest stretch without a favorite winning the Kentucky Derby was 1980 to 1999. Overall, 54 favorites have won the Kentucky Derby, so you can't dismiss the favorite completely. So with all that in mind, who do we like to win the 150th Run for the Roses? Well, there's lots that goes into that. I think running style is important. I prefer the front runners, the ones who get out of the gate well and either are on the lead or stalk the pace, because I think then you control your own destiny, and in this large field, that's very important. The post draw is extremely important. Depending on your running style, if you draw outside or inside, it can really sacrifice what you're trying to do or really affect how you're going to run that day. So with all that in mind, how are we going to pick the winner? Is it going to be the bloodlines, you know, the mammy, the pappy, the pappy's mammy, the mammy's pappy, the dosage index, the speed figures? How are you going to do all this stuff? I think for me, you just keep it simple. You just figure out what horse you're drawn to. You know, you look at them all, you kind of factor some of the stuff in, but mostly it's who you want to back. For me, it's going to be Mystic Dan. Mystic Dan is out of the Kenny McPeak barn. He's won the Southwest Stakes. He's got a big turn of foot. He's not a big horse, but he has a big turn of foot. He's very versatile. He won the Southwest Stakes back in February and with a huge effort. So I like Mystic Dan as the winner of the Kentucky Derby. Now, we always love playing the Derby Superfecta. So who are we going to roll with him? I like one of the favorites, Fierceness. He's a front runner. I think he's a really, really good horse. We also like West Saratoga. That's going to be our really stretch because he's on the Kentucky circuit, hasn't won this year, but he's always right there. So West Saratoga for a price. And then we also like Stronghold from the West Coast out of the Phil D'Amato barn. He won the Santa Anita Derby. So there you go. You've got Mystic Dan, Fierceness, West Saratoga, and Stronghold as your Derby Superfecta. Remember, got a hunch, bet a bunch, back a horse and get paid.